paid, earned, and owned model is definitely something that came from the consumer side, and I've not really seen it applied to kind of recruitment and employment marketing really in the past. But I think that it really has a lot of applicability. And when I was talking with a lot of our clients and hearing them talk about how they were wondering how long-term projects were paying off and how those were enabling them to kind of limit what their short-term spend was, really started getting me thinking that we really needed a model to describe how they would do that and to provide them with some guidance for the best ways that we could really plan for that to happen, and that it didn't just happen kind of serendipitously.
Nice
that's
word.
the wrong word.
That's nice.
So before I get too far into this, let's just talk about what we mean by when we say media, because media used to be something that was fairly kind of narrow. But in this context, we know that media really is any touch point that candidates are engaging with. So it could be things on that are traditional, a newspaper ad, a job posting. It can be things that are destinations, like a career site, but it also can be things that are earned, like word of mouth, sort of. And so the best example that I could kind of think of that was related to the difference between paid, earned, and owned would be if you think about like housing, right? So things that fall into paid are in housing, things like paying rent, right? It's things that once you stop paying, you really lose any benefit from, right? So if you are renting an apartment, you stop paying your landlord, you're going to get kicked out. You're going to no longer have any benefit from having had that place in the past. So owned things would be like buying a house. And so even after you've paid for the house, while there could be some maintenance that you need to pay for and other things to maintain it, property taxes, you still own that house and no longer have kind of a big investment. You've already made that investment in it. And then earned might be, let's say that you really work hard and you become the President of the United States, right? So now you get to live in the White House for free as part of your job, right? So now that's earned housing. Now, it's kind of a crazy example, but what I like about it is that it really does kind of illustrate the great feeling and the buzz you get from having kind of that earned, that earned asset as part of your program. And so when we think about, those three and how they kind of play out longer term, and the thing that I love the most about them is that we can take a look at the way that we spend all of that money across all of these different channels and actually come up with a roadmap that would help us get from spending a lot of money on this kind of like rental paid side and shifting much more of it into the owned and earned, so that we know that that money that we spent kind of lasts over the longer term. I'm going to now turn it over to Emily. She's going to talk about some more specific examples down each of these channels.